Hello everyone, and welcome back to Munch Media, where today, Joe, myself, will be talking about a cheeky wee band I don't know what to call them, an artist, a band? My good friends.
A hip-hop supergroup.
A hip-hop supergroup, titled Mugwampers, fresh out of the Scottish rap scene. I'm going to be talking about them and their music, and I want to mention that before I start, I'm good mates with them, and they're people I've been working with, doing video stuff. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be talking about.
There's no ethics in journalism.
No ethics.
Ethics are dead. What's the point in... You're just like all the scum at the BBC.
Maybe you're right. I mean, I'm mentioning my affiliation.
Who bought your microphone, Joe? Was it your friend's Mugwampers?
No, it wasn't actually. It was my mother when I was 13.
That's quite nice. Yeah, that's quite
Long
nice.
time ago.
Are you also going to report on something she's been making, Joe?
Yeah.
What's the payments?
Oh no, it's all coming. It's all, you're finding me out. I can't believe you're cracking the case. Anyway, today I am joined by, who's this weird voice chatting?
Oh, sorry, that was me. My name's Ralph, and I'm going to be talking about a real good documentary series called Last Chance U, which just wrapped up its 3rd season.
A documentary with a 3rd season? That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. And it's not about like renovating your house or driving a fast car. It's
or
like
animals.
Or animals. It's an actual documentary.
Oh wow. That's a slam right there.
No offense to the Planet Earth people, very about animals. There's a very good documentary series. I apologize profusely.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so do you want to start? Do you want to talk to us about this?
Cue the music. Yeah, so Last Chance U is a documentary series put out by Netflix which follows community college football teams in America. When I say football, I mean like American football, not soccer or anything like that. For the last 2 series, it has followed East Mississippi. In this series, it has followed ICU, or the Independence Community College, which is situated in Kansas, in a very small town called Independence, which I think only has like 10,000 people living in it.
Oh, it is small.
It's very small. It's I think I could describe it as like very rural, backwater kind of, bunch of farmers and like old industry type people. The documentary series follows the American football team over the course of 1 season. And what it does is it kind of latches onto a few key characters, both in the team and then at the community college. And it tracks their progress over the course of a season. The thing that makes the 3rd season of Last Chance U stand out against the other 2 is the people they're interviewing and following are either far more open than the previous characters from the last seasons, or, and I think this is kind of a crucial thing, just through the fact that this was filmed in like 2017, a lot of the characters are just way more aware of cultural and social issues.
Oh, okay.
And they're far more like open. In the first 2 seasons, all of the athletes were like, men. They were like alpha males, and they were all very much like, no man, we're tough. Whereas in this season, everyone seems to be fully aware that it's totally fine to just talk about how you're feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, like people aren't as shut off as they were in the previous seasons. The thing that I will say before getting into why the people they follow are really fascinating is, before watching this season and this series in general, I could not give a fuck about American football, like just at all. Like, I'm not a sports person, funny enough. Like, who'd have thunk it? Somebody on a media-based podcast doesn't give a fuck about sports.
Yeah.
But like, this show actually kind of got me really invested in it.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's quite common with American football, to be honest. I think like a lot of there's quite a lot of, well, I say quite a lot. There's a few decent films on American football, I think, or like documentaries especially and stuff, because like the culture around it there is crazy. Like, compared to, I mean, like football in the UK, like soccer, football, is like, I don't know, I'd say it's not as, I don't want to say serious, but like the way they take American football over there is more like,
oh, it's like the like serious elements of it are completely ingrained from top to bottom.
Yeah.
So like with say like football here in the UK, people do take it seriously, and there is like a playfulness to it, but all of the business element of it is just kind of ignored, or like the only time people really talk about that is like transfer season.
Yeah.
In American football, the business side of it is like integral to how it works, and it is something that everybody talks about really openly.
Yeah.
So Last Chance U actually gets into all of this kind of stuff because American community football teams, community college football teams, aren't paid. They're on scholarships, like athletic scholarships. And what that means is that you have to be a great athlete if you want to stay in the school, but you also have to pass all of your grades and all of your classes.
Yeah, what happens if you fail?
Then you get kicked out.
And you're just on your own?
You're just gone. That's it. Like you're not in the school system, you're out. And that's something that this show, and particularly the third season, really dives deep into on a number of levels. For a start, one of the best characters in the show, Jason Brown, who is the new head coach at Independence, who's this really interesting dude. He's this really tall, quite built, skinhead-like white dude who grew up in Compton in like the 80s. So he grew up around, like the period that like NWA got really massive in.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's like this super fucking just like rough dude. And he like completely opposes so many of like the local townspeople who are just like nice old people. And we're like, he shouts a lot and he swears a lot, but I guess he gets the job done. But no, he has this really interesting thing where he talks about the pressure that is put on his players, which is they are held to a higher standard than normal students, and they're put under more pressure. So for example, they have to get higher grades in order to pass. Athletes have to get higher grades in order to pass. And yet they also have to do everything else. So he was talking through their day, and the players start their practice at 5:30 in the morning. They then have breakfast, go to class for 9 in the morning. They then get out of school at like 4 in the afternoon. They then have to go to watch training. And do training, watch all these different kind of videos of previous games of their rivals, do all the theory work, and then train again. And then they go home and they sleep. And he's like, they do not get the chance to go and like earn more money or like relax. They do not have time to study as much as other students, and yet they have
to get higher grades.
Yeah, like they have higher standards and everything. And if they fuck up, like they have zero safety nets. Because one of the main reasons the show is called Last Chance U is it follows coaches like Jason Brown who bring in students and who bring in athletic students who are kind of on the end of their tether. They've either got into trouble at their old colleges or on their old teams for being kicked off for a number of reasons. It could be a bunch of the characters in the show have been kicked out of their old colleges because they were like caught smoking weed. And it's like, well, they were caught smoking weed once. I know that's not like the worst thing in the world, yet that makes them completely ostracized and removed from from all of the football leagues and all of the colleges. Some of them are a bit more serious, like there are people who have been involved with like armed robberies and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing I have to give the show credit for and the players credit for is they do not like shy away from this. They're pretty open in this series about talking about it all. Some of the players on the team are like really fascinating. I want to give a couple of shout outs to people like Malik Henry, who's a quarterback, who's this like real kind of like kind of posh student. He's a black kid who's definitely like a more well off than a lot of his counterparts.
Yeah.
And he's somebody who's like tasted the big leads and fallen dramatically, but he's also somebody who like suffers from depression and is quite open about this. And you can tell as the show goes on that he just becomes dejected with the sport and with playing it. And he provides this really interesting kind of retrospective on what it's like to grow up believing that you were going to achieve your dream and then in an instant have it all just taken away from you because you fuck up once.
Yeah.
He is really fascinating. And kind of on the opposite end of that, you have somebody like Bobby Bruce, who's a defensive player, meaning that his entire job is just to like charge at people and tackle them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he is like the exact opposite. He grew up in like South Florida. He like goes into detail about how just like half of my family are like dead or in prison. Like we're surrounded by like drug dealers all the time. My mum and my dad were like crack cocaine addicts. They've like disappeared for years. Sometimes we were in prison. Sometimes they were just on wild benders and just wouldn't come back. And he's like,
so...
it's
that's something else.
It's kind of rough, and like they follow him.
Kind of.
It's very rough, and like they follow him and show him kind of at his absolute worst, where he is like abrasive and violent and like distrusting of everyone around him.
Yeah.
But as the show goes on, he kind of develops and becomes more open and like a far more confident person, and a lot of that is down to the other thing that the show shines a light on, which is the fantastic job that teachers in these community colleges do. And kind of the main teacher that we follow in this one is an English teacher named Latona Pinkard, who is this like real fierce, real proud black woman who really, really cares about education and about her students.
Yeah.
She has this amazing speech in it where she's explaining to this room full of students who are, mixed race. There's black athletes, white athletes, all sorts of people. And she gives this speech about why she cares as a teacher and why she believes it's her job or her role in life, not just a job, but like her role, her destiny, her responsibility to help raise poor people and ethnic minorities in America, and to teach them the joy and necessity of an education and how it makes you a better person, how it makes you challenge society. And she gives this amazing speech where she's explaining about how like my ancestors were killed for trying to learn the alphabet. Like they were hung because they tried to read a book. Like you can't sit there as young people and say, oh, this isn't for me, I don't really want to do it. Like, no, people died so you could get to where you are doing this.
Yeah.
Like, they were killed for trying to sit in the rooms you were sitting in. And not even that long ago, like, in the 60s, like, schools were still segregated in America.
Yeah.
So, you'd only have to go back to, like, these people's parents or grandparents to start seeing that stuff. And the show follows teachers like that and the college community staff who are constantly trying to raise up these students to understand that like you're probably not going to make it as a sports star. Like you're probably not going to do that. So like you have to have an education, because if you have nothing to fall back on, you're just going to go back to the kind of places that players like Bobby Bruce grew up in. Like you're just going to end up like
back in crime.
back in like the terrible places that you came from. But the show isn't just purely about kind of black players and how they move through the system, although it gets into some like really fascinating stuff of that. It is about all of the different types of people who live in America and see sport as the only way they can raise themselves up. And so more often than not, it is purely a case of like, I come from nowhere, there's no opportunities for me. This is the one way I can move up in the social order of things.
Yeah.
And the show can get into that kind of politics and the kind of background business arm of American football, because it's not being filmed with an NFL team. So it's not being filmed with the higher up leagues, which means it doesn't have the same restrictions.
Regulations and stuff.
Yeah, same regulation. Like they don't have to worry about like sponsorships or anything. And because they're able to kind of move away from that, they can very openly look into, like, what do players feel about the state of American politics? What do the people running these teams feel about the state of the education system? What do they feel about, like, players constantly getting serious injuries that, like, ruin the rest of their lives?
Yeah, because there's no fallback. Yeah.
And like, there's no repercussion for them looking into it. Potentially, like, if these players continue after the documentary series and go into bigger teams, then, like, there might be like some NFL people having a word with them about what they've said on the show. Like, the NFL have quite a bad reputation for kind of going after people who talk shit about them.
Yeah.
Even last week, in the new NFL video game that EA puts out, people discovered that they were censoring the names of players who protested at games.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
What's his name? Somebody Kaepernick or Kaepernick?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
I mean, there was so much controversy around those when those players did that.
There was, I think there was like a bit of controversy and like a lot of debate, but like it seems a bit kind of like
they're definitely
vindictive.
trying to shut them up. It's very like we're using our power rather than reasoning with you and showing you that we're right. We're using our power to just stop you from talking. It's more like that.
That's the other thing I have to like. That's the thing about Last Chance U taking this route and following these smaller teams is like there is nobody saying we're going to stop you talking about this. And so it does mean that they can just get into it. And the final thing I'll say about the show is that it kind of has the perfect formula for a documentary in order to keep you entertained and keep you engaged, which is the start of each episode. It kind of starts on a Monday. And
also it's like the school week.
It's like a school week, and it will like follow the students through, the athletes, the teachers, the coaches. It will see how they're preparing as the week goes on, what kind of issues they're facing. Like, is somebody falling down in their grades? What are the teachers doing to help them? What are the athletes feeling about like the current state of the team? What are their hopes and dreams? And you get all of like the character moments. Like, you learn everything you could possibly want to learn about these people during like the first half hour of that show. And that's where like all the really interesting personal stuff comes in. That's where all the really interesting political stuff comes in. But then, because they're on an American football team, there's a big game to play. And so like the final 20 minutes of the episode is like this Hollywood level caliber of just like excitement and tension.
Oh, hell yeah.
And man, like, it's the best I've ever seen like a sporting, outside of like the Olympics, it's the best I've seen a sporting event use, because very clearly they've said, we're not filming this so you can like understand what's going on. We're filming this so that it's super dramatic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so like
because they've done the documentary bit and now they're like, here we go.
Oh yeah.
I guess that's such a good dynamic, because like they showed like the struggle, but then they show like the end result sort of thing, like why they do it in the first place. It's that dramatic game.
Like the moments where the players get to do the thing they've been building towards is like, it's so fist pump. Like, you just can't help but celebrate with them. Like when you see,
I mean, that's sport as well. I feel like that tells so many different stories all in one thing, because like that is sport. Like, that's what. It's not just the players. Like, that's the fans. That's everything. That's what these players go through to create this event, which makes people so energized and like brings the community together and stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, that's just you mentioning community. That's the other thing I should say, is that the show does a really good job of capturing a community and like capturing that kind of excitement and why they have it and that kind of hope that they build for the team. And like, it does a really good job of highlighting just people in the community who are just very like saying like, yeah, I'm gonna get behind this team. Like, they're good kids. They deserve to win something. Because kind of the main arc of the community in the college football team is that ICU have not, they haven't reached a final in 30 years. And I think they hadn't won a game in like 2 years or something before the new coach came in. So like, yeah, like it sounds a bit silly saying like I don't want to spoil it because this is a series of sporting events which were put on, news and national television in America like years ago. But like the moments where things work out are so like crowd pleasing.
Yeah, and it's good how they're obviously not scripted because they're real events.
Oh yeah, no, like all of the joy you feel is completely genuine.
That's great.
But
like when I was mentioning the NFL films earlier, like none of them are obviously they're all like drama, so it's like made up stuff.
It's like a bit cheesy sometimes as well in a sporting film.
Yeah, it is.
There'll be like a big speech about how like you're heroes and like the music will swell and they'll just lean over in slow motion and get the touchdown and then everyone screams. Whereas in this it's just like people screaming like fucking pass the ball, you fucking it's a bit more realistic. Yeah. And then all the music they use actually ties it in really well. I believe that Last Chance U has like my favorite opening credits.
Music with NFL goes so well because of the high action impact like drum beats with like tackles. Oh man,
no,
like
that's it. They use the marching bands.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Like they use the marching bands as so like you've got like this like all these amazing rhythms kind of undercutting everything, and then like the brass sections kicking in to give it that kind of the epic woomph. There's even time in the show where they like take a little side tangent and just follow some kid at the school who wants to make like a rap song for the team, and then have it played on like the big TV at the stadium, and like that's his dream for the year. And they like follow him talking to all the teachers, being like, "I think it's really cool if you play my hip hop song like on the big screen for everyone to enjoy." Yeah. But no, the music is amazing. Like the characters, the people they follow are incredibly fascinating and varied. It gets into the politics of American sport. It gets into the kind of inspirational, aspirational, and deeply tragic stories that you find with people in this kind of desperate situation. It champions education. It's amazingly well filmed. And because it has that kind of final 20 minutes, which are just this nail-biting, epic piece of drama that takes the form of a football game, you kind of always want to come back and see more, even when some of the character stuff like slows down or maybe isn't quite as engaging as it is in other episodes. And then the music is absolutely amazing with this incredible mix of like the marching band stuff and the music the players listen to. Now I think it's time for you to talk about some music you've been listening to.
It is. I've been listening to Mugwampers a lot, because as you may know, as anyone may know that has edited footage for anyone, or just anything, you hear the music in it a lot, and you hear everything.
The same 5 seconds of music a lot.
Yeah. And you end up learning things off by heart because you listen to it that much. So, yeah, you could say I've been listening to quite a lot of Mugwampers. And yeah, once again, I will just disclose that they are my good friends. So my opinion may be fairly biased.
Journalist ethics.
Yeah, maybe fairly biased.
I've never met anyone in Last Chance U, but I hope I will.
Yeah. Hopefully. But yeah, so basically, Mugwampers are a Scottish hip-hop duo that make Scottish hip-hop, funnily enough. They're new to the scene, but they are both very talented. They've both so the rapper is called Saigo. He goes by Saigo, and he has quite an interesting background. He used to be in a metal band, which is a very different genre of music, but still very interesting. So he kind of brought some of that metal stuff to hip hop as well. So in some of their songs, they have like screaming and stuff, and metal band screaming kind of makes sense, obviously. And then Eyes is the producer, and he's just super dope. I actually met him on a college course, which is pretty funny. And literally, I think I said, "Oh yeah, I want to do music." Like when they asked, like, "What do you want to do?" When you grow up, or not grow up. That's a bad term. What do you want to do? Boy. Like, what's your dream? And it was like, "Oh, music videos. I want to do them." And obviously, Eyes heard that, and he was like, "Oh, music videos. Sweet. So we just started chatting, and that's kind of how it all started. But yeah, their music is it's a wide range. They're not like just one style of hip hop, because if anyone knows anything about hip hop, there's a bunch of styles, and like boom bap, trap, I don't know, what's the word?
Gangster rap, all the
gangster rap,
stuff.
ambient,
mumble, blah blah blah.
Yeah, mumble.
There's all the stuff.
I'm trying to remember one in particular, and I can't, and it's making me sad.
All of the hip hop ruined by weed.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, they cover quite a few things. They're releasing EPs. Their first EP got released very recently. You should check it out. It is called 717 Part 1. So it's an EP, and they're gonna release 3 EPs, I believe, pretty sure, which are gonna sort of I can't remember that word. Culminate? Oh, I don't know. Cultivate. Yes, come together. That's the one.
Oh no! Culminate. Then I thought you were going to say culminate fans, but no, culminate.
Oh, okay. Yes, come together to create one big album, I think.
Okay, cool.
EP1 is out, and it's good. I recommend it. It's the trap EP. So if you like trap rap, I like that. Oh my god. If you like trap hip hop, you should definitely check it out. It's got a wide range, and I think I made 2 videos for that album, that EP in particular.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've heard those songs a lot. And it's weird. So, as someone who didn't ever listen to Scottish rap or any Scottish hip hop before, it was definitely a culture shock at first, even though I'm a Scottish person. So if it was a culture shock to a Scottish person, it must be a huge culture shock to someone that's not Scottish. Like, wow. But genuinely, at first I was like taken aback. I was like, do I like this? And I was like, I'm not really feeling it. Cause, like I've not really listened to it. Culture shock. But the more and more I listen to it, like it genuinely has grown on me. And it's not just their music, it's like other Scottish hip hop rap stuff I'm like really getting into and like actually listening to regularly.
Okay,
it's
cool.
just
so they kind of like opened the doors for you a bit.
Yeah, they did.
Nice.
But I mean, Mugwampers, the reason I think they're really cool is it's not just the music. Like, yeah, their music's great, but it's like they've got the image as well. And as a video guy, that's obviously big for me.
Yeah, of course.
And it's not even like just a visual image though. It's like the image when you hear the music. Like it's not just like typical
like their atmosphere.
Yeah, they've got like an aura, like a sort of mood even. Like when you listen to them, like the style of music and the way they actually like present it and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's quite like I didn't realize that they kind of have a lineage from like a heavy metal background, and like that sort of makes sense because I've listened to the EP as well. Not as much as you have.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, like it has kind of like a grungy quality to it.
Yes,
and like a bit of like a kind of industrial kind of quality. It's quite like metallic and like kind of dark and booming at points.
Yeah,
it reminds me a bit of like early POS stuff. A nowhere near as frantic like Death Grips.
Not that far. Definitely not that far.
Not that far. Like dial Death Grips down by like 2000%. you might have it.
Yeah, you might have it. But yeah, no, they're super cool. The metal stuff does come in future stuff. I don't know how much I can say, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But there's stuff coming. You guys should definitely check them out.
Exclusive preview.
Exclusive Munch Media preview. No,
ripped with embargoes.
Yeah,
we have to talk about this on the 9th. not now.
But yeah, they're super cool. They've just got a wide range of music. So obviously on that EP, it's all trap stuff. But if you give it some time, they're going to be releasing a nice wide range of different styles, which is super cool.
No, that's good. I do like it when musicians or producers mix up what genre they're working in, even if it's like a subgenre, and kind of change how the music is produced, or change how the music is written, or change what it sounds like tonally.
Yeah.
It's always good to see people do that, because, you know, quite often, like, somebody will release a second EP and they kind of just get pigeonholed into like one style or one type of voice.
Yeah.
It's cool that they're doing that. Personally, I'm kind of happy for doing that, because I appreciate the EP more than I like it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's music, isn't it? Like, obviously, like, not everyone likes every genre. Like, music's completely subjective, so it's like there's a difference between liking and appreciating, like you said. Like, you don't have to like something to understand why it's good, or like even think totally. It's like there's a reason for it being there. Like, there's music where, like, when people get annoyed at pop, it's usually because it's like, oh, it's just generic, and like that makes sense because, like, I don't know, it is generic. That's pop. it's generic for a reason, because it works. But like, obviously, I understand why I can appreciate why people don't appreciate that, if that makes sense.
Right, it's just true.
Whereas with like something
it's not
unique,
as interesting as this.
Yeah, when you've got something unique that, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, no music is like completely unique, so per se, because, like, you know, they all, like, music is music. Like, you might hear something that sounds really unique, but if you go through every single bit of music ever made, there's probably something in there, you know, that, like,
yeah, of course,
similar,
or like, you know, like we mentioned Death Grips earlier. Death Grips are definitely a band that I would probably describe as sounding quite unique. Yeah. But then upon further examination, you can quite easily say, oh, but they take loads of inspiration from, like, this industrial group, this punk group. Yeah. Like, you can trace lineage back to all sorts of things.
But when they come in with it, like, with style and, like, their own spin on it, that's when, I don't know, I think it is definitely unique and definitely can be appreciated. So
yeah, absolutely. And, like, even the fact that like, Scottish hip hop in itself is not exactly like a mainstream thing here. No, like, there's obviously a lot of people who like hip hop who live in Scotland.
Yes.
But it's not exactly something that it's still niche. Like, it's not taken off
it's very
in, like,
niche.
a massive way. Yeah, like, British hip hop is primarily, like, London. Like,
London,
over,
just
like,
London. Yeah,
just London. Yeah. Like all over fucking genres.
Yeah,
and then, like, a few things from, like, Manchester, and, like, that's sort of it. It's nice to, like, see people who are talented enough producers to go ahead and, like, make something themselves. Yeah. Like, that's one thing. Even though I'm not, like, a big fan of the album, I do think the production on it is particularly good.
Yes.
And, like, it's nice to see people do that, and it's just nice to see people make music anyway, and to start building up this kind of niche scene. And, like, that's one thing that, as an observer of, like, Scottish hip hop music, because, like, you know, like, years ago, like, worked as a photographer, worked lots of nights, blah 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 blah. It's been kind of nice seeing it grow a little bit.
Yeah, people are trying to push it, which is
and then because Scotland's small enough, it's easy enough for people to, like, collaborate.
Yeah, like, everyone knows each other. Everyone knows each other, which is cool. And, like, I think we need more collaboration. So we need more people to come out and try make. And I think that's why I can really, really appreciate Mugwampers doing what they're doing, because and that's why I want to back it, because, like, they're actually putting in the work, and, like, you know, they're not thinking too much about, like, other people's opinions. They just want to make stuff and put it out, and they want to do it exactly how they want it. And then the more they put out, the more chance there is that they'll gather attention, which will just make the industry bigger here anyway. And I think it'd be really cool to have a big industry like that, because, like, there's no reason there can't be. Like, there's so many talented people. Like, whether, you know, I'm not saying everyone in the world's gonna like Scottish rap. I just mean there's definitely an audience for it out there, and I think Mugwampers definitely have style. And, you know, like, when I look at people like I don't know, someone I've gotten into quite a bit recently is Scarlord, and like him, hear me. I mean, he just screams, basically.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, but I just think his image is so cool, and, like, he built, even though his music isn't technically, like, quote unquote nice sounding, that's not what it's all about. It's about, like, bringing something unique, and he's unique. Like we said earlier, he's not obviously completely unique, but it's like you know, it's like Death Grips. There wasn't anyone that like first comes to mind when you hear them. You're like, wow, that's a really unique sound. I feel like with Mugwampers, they've got that look and are developing their sound, because obviously this is their first EP, so it's not like, you know, they're at their peak or anything. Like they're just like, starting, so learn. It's like they're ramping up to something big, and I think that's really awesome. Cool. Yeah,
that's awesome. No, it's like even though it's not quite there for me, I do appreciate it from that front. We live in Edinburgh, and like the Fringe Festival's on and all this kind of stuff, and just this week I went to an exhibition on the history of Scottish pop music. And the thing that became really apparent from it was, like, in the 80s, there was loads of Scottish music that was getting quite large attention worldwide. But so much of it is music that you wouldn't expect to be Scottish, and so much of it was music that only kind of hit its mainstream stride once it left Scotland and either performed in the rest of the UK or performed in America. And it kind of makes me sad, because I've worked on the edges of the Scottish music scene, specifically the Glaswegian music scene, for years and years and years. And it's filled with incredibly talented people and incredibly talented musicians. But because there isn't that lineage or that assumption that there is a good music scene here or a good music industry, it kind of gets lost, to put it to the wayside.
Yeah.
And like it is the sad state of the British music industry, not just the music industry, but just all art in general.
Yeah.
That, like, if you're not in London, you're fucked.
Yeah, no, it's really sad. Yeah, the outreach is so bad. Like, what causes that though? Like,
I do think it is like the assumption, but then also,
yeah,
like people from outside Glasgow and Edinburgh don't assume that like interesting music gets made here. Like, it's still within the realms of hip hop. Like, there's so many people who just don't assume that young farthers come from Edinburgh.
Maybe we just need to need to change that. Maybe if I guess me and Mugwampers are kind of trying to change that. I guess like I don't know. As someone that's making videos for this stuff, like, I really do, like, because I could easily just move somewhere else, right, and like make videos somewhere else, and like where there's more money or just more work in general. But like, I don't know, I think there is a bit of national pride, I guess, to like try and make something happen here. Like, it would just be, one, interesting, and two, I think we can. Like, that's why I really want to do it. I think that it is possible, and I think that there's just not enough people really pushing for it. Well, not just from like the rapping side, but like from everything, video, actual like companies or like production, or just everything. Literally everything. I think there's not enough people really trying to push it. So I think if we can try and make a mark, then we can maybe get other people in on it as well, which will just push it. And then I guess that's how it starts. And like you said, it's a small community as well, so it's not like we can't. A small
community that's growing, I think, is the key thing. And then like Scotland itself is not the biggest country, especially in terms of population. Yeah. So like, your like actual chances of getting audience who are into your music is not like the greatest here overall. But you know, as long as bands and musicians and people who are interested in this stuff push it on like social media and things like that, you will like build up potentially an international audience, and that's a fantastic thing. In terms of like changing the image of Scottish music, I think the first thing we should do is kick the shit out of all the bagpipers on Prince's Street.
yeah, get them out.
Get them out. I fucking hate bagpipers.
Yeah, me too, man.
We need to get rid of that.
Yeah.
No, man, they sound awesome.
Wait.
And like, I like what they're doing.
I need to quickly continue this phone call. I know that was kind of a shit cut place, but Laurie's like.
Oh no! I was actually thinking like, is there a final statement you want to make?
A final statement. Go listen to Mugwampers EP. They're going to be releasing new ones. I'm going to be working on loads of videos with them. You need to check out the videos as well. We'll actually link the videos down below, probably. Bit of self-promo.
Yeah, go for it.
Ralph, you've got some self-promo to go over, actually, as well.
There's some music stuff I'm working on, but... Oh, right, no, you mean the videos I'm making? Oh, right, shit. Yeah, everyone, keep an eye on the Munch Media YouTube channel. This week, we're going to start our playthrough of the Banner Saga Part 3. An amazing... yay, indeed. An amazing video game trilogy which takes place in a mythical Nordic kingdom. It is about a group of refugees fleeing during an apocalyptic event. It is grim, dark, it is magical and inspirational, and the whole thing is hand-drawn with this unbelievably gorgeous art style.
Just gorgeous.
Just gorgeous, like bold, striking. It looks absolutely beautiful. The music made by Austin Winfrey is truly epic in the true meaning of true meaning of the word. I am very much looking forward to playing through that game for the first time, completely blind, know nothing about it, and yeah, it would be nice if some of you lovely listeners came along with me for the journey.
Yeah, you should. I'm going to, so you guys can too.
Well, I would hope so, as like producer.
Nah, you guys all watch it. You guys watch it for me, and then just tell me everything that happens. Yeah, no,
like all the best producers,
because it's gonna be good. And yeah, go check out Mugwampers, check out the videos, I'll link them below. And I think that's us for today, because I'm in a rush. You can probably tell, because I'm speaking really fast, and I want you guys to go away, because
that's why they call us Mini-Munch, so we can go really quickly and go places and go to things that we really need to go to. Okay, bye-bye, take it. Keep an eye on the channel.
We're gonna finish really fast. Bye-bye.
Bye.